What would you do if your colleague was behaving inappropriately? Story time. Now, as a senior leader, you would often do joint observations in school, and that basically means you go around in pairs, drop into classes, and observe the teaching. You would also flick through the books in the classroom, and you'd have previous knowledge of the data for each class. So we went into 4 classes in Key Stage 1. Overall, the lessons were pretty average, and in the world of education, average is not good enough. Now, 2 of the lessons needed to be unpicked a bit further. So we had Teacher A and Teacher B, and both lessons had some issues. So with Teacher A, the work in the books was good. The planning was good, and it matched the work in the books. And the class data was good. Based on what we saw, she got extremely nervous, and the lesson didn't go as planned. Now, Teacher A made a point of finding me and telling me that she was extremely nervous, and she asked if we could come back in. Now, Teacher B. The classroom environment was lovely, and the relationship she had with the children was really good. Now, there was a big question mark around the work in their books. Work wasn't marked, concepts weren't taught correctly, and her assessments were below where they should have been. Now, the most obvious thing about that lesson was the teaching was incorrect. And when we flicked through the books, there was a pattern of this. So we left the class, we had a quick catch up, and we discussed our findings. Now, based on our discussions, I thought that we were on the same page. But, surprise, surprise, we were not. Now, we fed back to the SLT the next day, and guess who they wanted to put on the support plan? Teacher A.
Bruh.
Did I question it further? Of course I did.
Duh.
Let me give you a little bit more context to Teacher A and Teacher B. This is Teacher A, for example. Teacher A had good lesson planning, and the planning correlated with the work in the books, and her assessments were good too. So what we saw in the lesson wasn't a typical lesson. This is Teacher B. The environment was lovely, so their work in the books was below average. The planning was below average, and the teaching was below average. And the SLT wanted to put Teacher A on a support plan. Didn't make any sense. It was evident that the other SLT member had fed back to the whole SLT before, and they had already decided on what they were going to do. So when I fed back, I did question their next steps because Teacher B had some fundamental gaps in her knowledge. However, that just fell on deaf ears. So we gave both teachers their feedback, and I gathered my evidence for both teachers. So evidence of work in books, planning, and assessment data. And I raised my concerns. Luckily, Teacher A moved on to bigger and better things. And that's the beauty of working freelance. You're not tied to a school permanently.